Hello and welcome back to Furious Driving, and today this little short video will be trying to complete the various jobs that didn't quite get done in the last couple of videos on the Volvo and the Alfa. We've got a couple of things to sort out. First of all, and notably, so we seem to have quite a dog cage on the bonnet of the Rover, so that needs to disappear before I can do any more work on that. It can find its way back into the Mini. This little sensor, which I didn't get off before because I was trying to work out how to remove it, still needs to be fitted. I was looking at the possibility of cutting up a ring spanner to do that, but general consensus off the internet is basically just destroy the old one. There's no way around it. Get a socket on there, wreck it. So to avoid cutting up a spanner, which Gordon Tools are an out of production company, variously have been told that they made parts for Jaguar in-car toolkits and also for Halfords. So they're either very, very nice and expensive or completely worthless, I'm not sure which. But I'll try damaging the old one first of all. And the problem I faced last time, you may or may not remember this, is that this is a 19mm or 3/4 of an inch bolt on hex head on this sensor. However, this is a 20-something millimeter socket, which is a bad bit of design. Why would you do that? So I'm going to go in with a big old chisel and try and knock this plastic bit off. Wish me luck. Right, 19mm ring spanner. Even that's still tight. Let's try the ratcheting one. Oh god, that is really awkward. Can't really get it on there because this has got like a bendable end. That's not happy either. Let's try it with a socket. This is a bar, not a ratchet I'm hammering, by the way. That's turning, thank goodness. Wow. That was way more trouble than it should have been. Going to get the new one ready with a little smear of sealant on it before I pull that one out so that I don't lose. And let's depressurise the system. Yeah, it's ready. Someone's ready to dive straight back in without losing too much coolant. This has got some sealant just a little bit smeared in its threads, so it will seal up nice and tight, because I don't know how tight I'll be able to do this up. Oh, no, I can't get it out. Let's see if the 19mm ratchet will do it for me now. Wrong side. Oh, come on, you little so-and-so. Still quite tight, really, considering it's quite loose, if that makes sense. Ready for the gush of coolant any second now. Oh, God, blimey, that's loads. And it doesn't really look as much in the way of antifreeze in it either, to be honest. It's quite clear. I was expecting it to be kind of green or blue. It smells a bit antifreezy, but it doesn't look very antifreezy, if that makes sense. Get in there. Oh, I can't turn it. It's got massive plastic sensors. They're really awkward to turn in awkward places. I'm glad I was warned that was going to happen. If I hadn't been aware from reading stuff online that the moment you turn that or remove it, it's a fountain, I'd have really been taken by surprise. Well, it's actually virtually impossible, even when it's in there, to just nip it up with the correct size spanner. But going one size up in Imperial to 13/16 means you can get the flats just about onto it and nip it up. This, by the way, is the wreckage of the old one, having beaten it to death. Where'd the plastic bit go? Yeah, this is how you get one out in the end. It's a two-piece operation. Right, let's reconnect some sensors and see if this thing starts. Oh, I did just dry the sensors as well, so there's no moisture in there. Previously disconnected one of them, so I have more room to move the spanner. So there we have the shiny new temperature sensor stuck in the engine at last. Let's just do a quick run-up of the engine so make sure it works. We'll give it a minute. Now, whilst the Volvo runs up to temperature, you may be able to hear it in the background still, I had another little package turn up from Clover Breakers. Super, super, super helpful. They sent me a known working resistor on the understanding that I'll send back whatever they've sent me out already to test, and if the relay fixes it, I'll post that back regardless. And they've also sent me another relay which is known working, and some light bulbs. I'll come to that in a second. First of all, let's stick this relay in the fan setting. Oops. And here's where I discover I left the keys indoors. Bear with me. Right, so ignition on, fan on. That's working on 4, not working on 3, working on 2, working on 1. So I will switch out the known working blower resistor for the one that's underneath there, post back my dead one and the one that they've posted me the other day. Before I do that though, I will fit some new little light bulbs in the dashboard. These are actually used LED bulbs that came from a broken Alfa, because I got my little square light bulbs in the post from off of the eBay or the Amazon, but they don't quite fit. I think I read something about this a long time ago. Always buy your dash light bulbs from an Alfa dealer, because the ones you buy off the internet and other places don't quite fit, and they didn't quite fit. So I'm going to quickly whip this thing out. Oh, I think I need to undo one of these plugs because that's otherwise impossible. There we go. Much easier this way. I can pull out these ones, which I really had to finagle in there, and that just mangled them really. You can see the ones I fitted of these, because they just don't fit and they're just kind of wedged in there really awkwardly. Right, let's fit as many of these as I can. Oh, much better fit. Or an actual entire fit, you might say. Clover Breakers did say these have been on the shelf for absolutely years, waiting for someone to want them. No one ever has. So I've given them some life at last. Got one more. One spare LED one. Where do I pop that one? Let's plug this in and see if it works. I need to go and get a blanket because it's quite bright out here. I won't see the effect otherwise. Finally, after a lot of fiddling with the bulbs, trying to put them in and out the other way around, I think the LEDs only work one way around. Managed to get a complete set of lights all across the dashboard so I can actually see what's going on at night. I would prefer it if they were all green to match the originals, but at least I've managed to juggle it so that I've got the two greens symmetrically at the outside edges and the blue in the centre. Maybe if I can be bothered one day, I'll change everything to match. But this is not that day. Right, now I can put the binnacle back in, and it'll all look a lot smarter and more finished. Just need to find all the right tools. It's just remembering which way around everything went. So it was the square-headed little Torx ones that go inside the dashboard, and the round-headed ones that go on the outside. I didn't tuck the wires back into the catches. Better redo that. That would be a better way of doing it. Oh boy. There are some little loops on the back of here where you can just snag the cables in so they don't get caught on stuff. I think it is better if you do just reattach them into that. Didn't sound good. Oh, now I'm touching them, they're kind of gooey and I wish I wasn't. Yuck. Good enough. I'm looking forward to driving this car again. Just hearing that lovely twin spark growling as I'm driving down the road. Not too tight, don't want to break it, but just tight enough that it's not going to rattle in the dashboard. There we go. Super duper. Now, the bezel. Where did I put that? Oh, there it is. In the back of the car. Hopefully when I've found enough parts of the car, I'll be able to find what I did with that, that switch, which is somewhere in the car. I've not thrown it away, but it is vanished for the time being. There's a couple of little clips in the bottom. Here we go. Let's try and get them to clip in. Oh, I see. Got to go over the first bit and under the second bit. There we go. Clip, clip. Bada bing. Let's get that bit of fabric sound deadener out of the way. Don't want to be looking at that. Lovely. Now just tighten these things up and we're done. So I really hope those lights still work when I've put all this back together. If this was a movie, that would be called foreshadowing. I'm really hoping it's not foreshadowing. Let's try one more time. Oops. Yes, I've got a full set of light bulbs! Hurrah! This is, I'm going to call it good. Well done me. Well, this engine has been running for a couple of minutes now. The good news is it does not appear to be leaking under there. So that's excellent, positive news. However, less positive, even though this is quite warm on the top radiator pipe, this has not moved off the peg. So I wonder if the dashboard needs looking at this end as well. That's irritating. Right, because the gauge wasn't working, I've now pulled the plug off the sensor and bridged the contacts. So we'll just quickly flick the ignition on, see if the gauge moves then we'll know if... Okay, before actually taking the entire binnacle apart, the last thing that's been suggested online is giving the gauge or the cluster a bit of a whack. Let's see if that works. Oh, still got fuel gauge, which is good. Not even a glimmer of movement off that thing. I guess I'm taking the dashboard apart. Oh, it's working, it's working. I left it running for 2 or 3 minutes, and guess what? This thing is actually doing what it's meant to do. Hurrah! Got a full suite, if you like, of instrumentation. That's not the right time. That's well out. Maybe the battery's been disconnected a bit. Obviously not driving anywhere. Revving slightly. Temperature! Hurrah! Thumping it clearly worked. Brilliant. That means I've now got... So now I've not got to take this instrument binnacle apart for the time being, unless I really want to change those light bulbs in there. I'll see how I feel later. So, of my list of projects to do, the only thing left is to go and put the AC compressor in the Alfa. I mean, there's no big rush on that one because I can't get it gassed and I can't get a belt for it. No one seems to have one in stock. But at least if it's done, it's ready to go. I'll see if I feel like doing that later or drinking more tea and having a biscuit. Hooray! So here are the air conditioning Schrader valves, which I think are going to show there's nothing in the system. No, nothing there. Nothing there. It's empty, so I can safely take the compressor off with no risk of venting into the atmosphere. So I'll work out how it comes off now. Well, it looks like changing the AC compressor is actually quite easy. There are 4 big long bolts that go through like this, one to the top to the bottom. This is quite a heavy thing, and 1 hex-headed thing, because those are 13mm heads. It's not very accessible. It looks kind of like you need to be underneath the car for it. So I'll see if I can break the seal, if you like, on the top ones. But then I think I'm going to either have to go onto a 4-post lift or get the car back on a jack. So maybe when it goes in for the timing belt next, which we, as soon as we're back out on the road really, then we'll be into... Oh, God, that's really tight. Oh, there we go. That's now... Let's get the 13mm. That is absolutely going to have to come out from underneath because there's just no way it can fit through from the top. I think it really, you need to get to the sockets from underneath as well, because you can't actually turn the driver when you're going in from above. I've just unplugged the one electrical connector I can see on the thing, just to give it a bit more access. It's one of those jobs I might actually just hand it over to a garage, because it looks like a pain in the bum. And I can't actually, whoops. Oh, we go. Oh, god damn me, that's really, really hard to get to. Oh, got it. No, not got it. I don't got it. Oh, do I? No, I don't. This just became a job for Go Italia. When the cam belt comes off, he can whip it off at the same time, because he'll have it on the 4-post ramp. It's just not worth the aggro. Already I'm skinning my hands and I'm not even breaking the thing. I need it on a 4-post lift. Well, I've spent a few minutes battling this thing, and it's really, really awkward to get into. It's kind of too tight for the ratchet wrench to turn in there. Spanner is struggling to get any kind of purchase on it with any leverage. I've tried like a twisty end spanner on there, and it's just fighting me all the way. Now the thing is, this needs the cam belt doing, which is just here. In order to do that, you need to take the auxiliary drive belt off, which is here, driving the compressor. So once we're out of lockdown, I'm going to be taking this round to my friend Jamie, the Italian car specialist, to get a new cam belt on it. So it's kind of pointless changing stuff that's in the way of that when he's going to have to take it off again anyway. So once it's on a 4-post lift, which is going to have to be for the cam belt too, it's going to be a really quite easy job to do. For me, it's a real pain in the bum to get underneath it, try and get access to all that kind of business. I hate handing jobs over to garages, which I know are only a couple of bolts and fairly simple, but the accessibility of this and the fact it's kind of pointless until I can get it gassed up and get a belt for it means it's not worth the aggro, frankly. So Jamie's just got another half hour of work. I can go watch some TV or something, or edit this video actually. I like I ever get a chance to watch TV. But at least the rest of this video has been fairly successful. We've got working temperature gauge, we've got working dashboard, we've got working fan. All the things that didn't quite finish in the last one are now working. Things when I make these videos, I'm working to like a time schedule, so in order to get the video out the next day, I've got to finish everything that day or the video doesn't happen. So sometimes things just run over or don't happen. So in this case, this has been a nice catch up, and now I'm kind of back on top of a lot of little things, which feels good. Brilliant, right. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you soon.